Good morning. Welcome to your Tuesday morning or early morning intuitive guidance. I'm Dr. Bonnie Nussbaum, here with some words of wisdom to get us thinking and feeling and making changes and moving forward in our lives and influencing the lives of others. So, good morning, Janine. Welcome. You are the first one popping on today. Glad you are here. So, let's start with some breath as usual. Nice deep breath in and out. And in and out. And if the only thing we accomplished this morning is I've helped you take a couple of nice deep breaths, I've done good work. We're on a roll. So we have a card today from the Power of Surrender deck. Judith Orloff, she's been kind of circling around the last week or two with some cards. Good morning, Cindy. Welcome. Glad you're here. And I think this particular card reiterates one of the primary tenets we work on this channel. As we're healing and growing and moving forward, this is one of the primary ones that I like to espouse. Good morning, Abigail. Glad you're here. Welcome, welcome. The reason I think this card is so important is it changes the whole tone for how we approach life and living. And the more we sidle up to this philosophy, good morning, Beth, glad you're here. Good morning, Joe Neal. Welcome, welcome. Everybody coming in now. This is good. The more we adopt this philosophy, the more life flows. The more life flows. And the less stuck we feel, the fewer barriers we run into, etc., etc. So again, I think this is a very pivotal message for all the stuff that I do, and I really want to, yeah, you aren't the only one. One of my friends posted a picture of her dog with this great big yawn and said, not liking daylight savings time. Today I actually woke up early, but yesterday I could not get moving. So yes, we'll all just kind of plod along here and eventually we'll adjust and yeah, whatever. So again, our card for today is the Power of Surrender deck by Judith Orloff. And the card is Surrender to What Is. Good morning, Gwen. Glad you are here. Welcome, welcome. Surrender to what is. Surrender to what is. So I'm going to read the bottom of it and then I'm going to go off like I usually do. Flow with what is instead of fighting it. When you can't change a situation, compassionately accepting it exactly as it is will bring you peace. And will not only bring you peace, but will bring you forward movement, because part of the reason we get stuck is we insist that things be different than they actually are. When we acknowledge that something is as it is, even if we acknowledge, and I don't like it this way, fine, put it out there. Thank you, Cindy. I appreciate that. But when we fight it, and I'm going to riff on that fight idea, we know from the card that we read a bazillion years ago from the Wild Kuan Yin deck, which is one of my favorite decks, that when we fight something, we actually strengthen it. We make it stronger by becoming in opposition to it. And intellectually, we've talked about this how many times, right? But to get that to sink into our heart and soul when we are surrounded by warlike language, images, etc. We're fighting climate change, we're fighting cancer, we're fighting this. That does not work. It does not work. Period, paragraph, end of story. Doesn't work, okay? We've worked on that in our communication with going through the whole book. We're almost to the end now with Sharon Ellison taking the war out of our words. Taking the war out of our words. This whole thing, flow with what is instead of fighting it. Good morning, Sue. Glad you are here. Looking forward to connecting shortly. When we fight something, we make it stronger. Get that through your heads. Get that through my head. And it's such a knee-jerk reaction, isn't it? Something comes up that we hate or we don't like, or yeah, but. If we could even just take yeah, but out of our language, we'd move a whole lot farther. So one of the things I want to show you today, I've been talking about it, is my book I'm reading, Climate, A New Story. What you resist persists. Amen. Alleluia. Yes. Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. This is a fabulous book. I just want to read some of the jacket cover on the back because this is the frame of mind we need for everything. Everything. With research and insight, Charles Eisenstein details how the quantification of the natural world leads to a lack of integration and to our fight mentality. When all we're looking at is numbers, we lose a lot in the translation, okay? With an entire chapter unpacking the climate change's denier's point of view, he advocates for expanding our focus. Don't just focus on carbon emissions. When we talk about that little piece of the puzzle, we're not getting there. The reason I'm reading this is, yes, climate change, huge issue. We need to address it, but not in the way we've been doing it with that fight mentality, the deniers versus the we've got to do something now people. He advocates expanding our exclusive focus on carbon emissions to see the broader picture beyond our short-sighted and incomplete approach. And I would say here, loud and clear, with most of our life, with most of our problems, with most of the world's difficulties, we have a short-sighted and incomplete approach. Blink, blink, blink. The rivers, forests, and creatures of the natural and material world are sacred and valuable in their own right, not simply for carbon credits or preventing the extinction of one species versus another. So, and I'm going to read the next sentence. After all, when you ask someone why they first became an environmentalist, they're likely to point to the river they played in, the ocean they visited, the wild animals they observed, or the trees they climbed when they were a kid. This refocusing away from impending catastrophe and our inevitable doom cultivates meaningful emotional and psychological connections and provides real actionable steps for caring for the earth. Freeing ourselves from a war mentality and seeing the bigger picture of how everything fits together will lead us toward a deep place of commitment. Good morning, Linda. Welcome, welcome. So I want to take that paradigm shift and keep us applying it to all of this stuff that we talk about day in and day out. Today's surrendering to what is. This is that bigger picture kind of approach. Instead of doing battle with something that, again, strengthens whatever we do battle with, do not fight cancer. Do not fight cancer. Walk with cancer. Learn from cancer. Whatever your difficulty is, same thing, right? So my sister and I continue to have our communication difficulties. Rather than fighting the communication struggle we're fighting, walk with it. Isn't this interesting? See how this is unfolding in this way. I've said A, you're hearing D. What can we do with this? Working with this. When I'm working with clients, that is often one of the first things we do. And I have a new person who has her first session today. And I know we'll be doing this. I know we will. It's taking the I don't want blah, whatever it is, and flipping it on its ear. What do you want instead? What do you want instead? So I don't want this climate disaster to happen. What do you want instead? Work toward that instead of working away from what you don't want. What do you want? And many of us will find it's hard to answer that question because we've been so geared toward paying attention to what we don't want that we sometimes can't even articulate what we do want. Well, I don't know, but I don't want that. Well, let's talk about it. Okay, so what would the opposite of that look like, sound like, feel like? Sometimes I'll whip out one of those worksheets and we'll walk through. What would it look like instead? What would it sound like instead? What would it feel like instead? Paint the picture of what we want and what we don't want will dissipate. Go toward what you do want, and you will leave behind what you don't want, right? So there's much we can do in this regard. Part of it is that fish swimming in water thing. The fish doesn't even realize it's in the water. We swim in a matrix of belief system that does not serve us, but we have swum in it for so long, swam in it, whatever, for so long that we don't even realize it's there. Garbage comes out of our mouths like, well, I don't want that to happen, or the world's going to hell in a handbasket, or all the stuff we say. I can't do anything about that. That will never work, blah, blah, blah. All the stuff we say that literally handicaps us, that freezes us where we are and keeps us stuck. So, surrender to what is. Even acknowledging what is. Okay, so I'll just make some stuff up. My boss is abusive. My significant other is an alcoholic. My kid is living off of me. They're not doing what they need to be doing. They're not launching. We have failure to launch here. Can you spell it out? The what is. What is the reality of this? And we are so good at wrapping stuff in a package that makes it more palatable to us. I'm sorry, if you're wrapping dog shit in a tortilla, it's still dog shit in a tortilla, right? Allow it to be what it really is. Take off the lenses that aren't allowing you to see what's truly there. The thing I will hear the most from clients when we do that is, sorry, my sister just dropped in a message, distraction, shiny. The thing that we need to pay attention to is, what is the reality of this? Not sugarcoating it, not doing the, yeah, but it could get better, not in this moment, right here, right now. What's the truth about this? What am I pretending not to know? There's our famous question again. What am I pretending not to know? So then when you say what is, yes, squirrel, absolutely. When you say what is, there's a line from the CD that I listened to, What You Talk About by Joanne Barnes, where she says, say what's so, then let it go. Say what's so, then let it go. That's what this is about. Here's what it is. I'm not going to fight. It shouldn't be this way. I can't stand this, blah, blah. We ought to do something about this. Say what's so and let it go. So I'll make one up. I'm working at a job that doesn't support living a life. I'm getting paid too little. Good morning, Carolyn. Welcome. So I'm owning that. Let's just put that out there. We'll pick one. I'm just making stuff up. I'm working at a job that doesn't pay me sufficient to make a decent living. All right? That's the truth. What people will say, I've circled back around, squirrel. What people will say about that is, if I speak that truth, then I'm going to have to do something about it. Maybe, maybe not. You could say, I'm working at a job that doesn't pay me sufficient to make a living, and I'm going to continue to work there. It's choice. You get to make that choice. It is your life. It is your path. You get to decide. You want to keep working at a job that doesn't support you? Go for it. Absolutely. But speak the truth. Speak the truth. Currently, I'm choosing to stay in a marriage that is not meeting any of my needs because I'm too afraid to leave. That's the truth. Speak that truth. Whatever it is. Because then we can ask questions. What would it take for you to be ready to leave that marriage? What would need to be in place for you to go to your boss and ask for a raise, or to start looking for a different job, or to decide it's time to retire? Speak the truth, say what's so, and let it go. Say what's so and let it go. So again, this is a huge mind shift. I'm really looking forward to reading the rest of this book. And apparently he has many other books where he has tackled all manner of social issues from this same kind of a perspective. Good morning, Mel. Welcome, welcome. In other words, we cannot change. going back to, I think this was Einstein, we cannot change, we cannot fix a problem with the same mindset that created it in the first place. So this warlike model, doing battle with, has never worked. Time to let it go. Time to let it go and make a shift. Is this going to be easy to do? Absolutely not. We are surrounded by, inundated with all of this warlike framework. But pick a piece, do your part, move it forward. So, surrender to what is, flow with what is instead of fighting it. When you can't change a situation, compassionately accepting it exactly as it is will bring you peace. So speak your truth. Speak your truth. What is it? What is true about this? Then let it go. Move on. So that's a huge challenge for all of us. I'm so excited we get this on a Tuesday. We've got a whole week to work on this. And know that I know that I know that whatever we pick next, and actually I think tomorrow if I can remember to do this, I want to read you a little more out of the book because I think it would be helpful in us beginning to grasp this framework, this new way of being. And think about the ripple effect. The more of us who come from this new way of being will hit that 100th monkey, the tilting point, whatever you want to call it, where this begins to sweep the earth. Have an awesome day, y'all. See you tomorrow. Remember, you are capable of far more than you think you are. We're just done, Deb, but I'll post the video in 2 seconds. Have an awesome Tuesday. Bye-bye.